Hello, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to shape the biscotti for the first bake. If you recall from the other videos, I had said that biscotti is double baked because it's a dry, crispy cookie, right? So everything is combined, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm taking this out, and I have my baking sheet, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just using my baking sheet because I'm going to be cutting this in half. All right, so I am going to just eyeball it. I'm just kind of perforating my center. All right, so essentially you're just going to divide the dough. All right, so I have one ball here that I'm just going to kind of set aside. You can see all those white chocolate chips and milk chocolate chunks or whatever you decide. All right, so I'm just going to form this into a ball. And then I want it to be about 2 inches in length. So 2 inches in length is about the size of your index finger this way. All right. So and you're going to make it kind of the shape of your baking pan. All right. So what you're going to do is you kind of form it into a log, just like so. All right. You're going to do this right on your baking pan. It's so much easier if you do this on your tabletop and then try to transfer it. You're going to get super frustrated. So it's so much easier to do it directly on your baking pan, like so. I put aluminum foil down on my baking pan. I'm going to be honest, parchment paper works, but if you're going to do this directly on a baking pan, it might stick. So I suggest putting some nonstick spray, but I really just suggest putting aluminum or parchment down. All right, so I am making essentially like a log rectangle, just like so. All right, so because what we're going to do is we're going to bake this. We're going to take it out of the oven, and then we're going to cut them on a diagonal to give them the nice diagonal log shape that a biscotti has. It's meant for dunking in, like I said, in coffees, teas, espresso, etc. Especially like this chocolate biscotti. Oh my God, it's going to taste so good if you have espresso, or like a nice little latte. It'd be delicious. All right. So I'm about 2 inches. All right. And I am going to bake this in an oven. It needs to be at 325 degrees for about 20 minutes. All right. That's my first bake. As soon as my first bake is done, I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then we're going to cut our pieces so you know how to shape them. I am going to do another log here, but I mean, you see how to do this one. All right. You don't need a ruler. You could, but you want it about 2 inches this way, and then about, the width of the baking sheet. All right. So I'll show you what that looks like when we're done. Before I put the biscotti in the oven, I did want to show you the step that I almost forgot before I put them in the oven, and that is to add the egg wash or egg white wash. All right. So here are my 2 logs that I'm ready. This one, I had a little bit more dough in, which is why it's just a little bit longer, and that's totally fine when you're hand shaping like this. What I did was I took just a regular egg. That's that third egg. The recipe calls for 1 large egg white. So here's my egg white. Here's my yolk. I'm going to dispose of this yolk because I don't need it. My egg white, I'm going to take, and if you have I actually do not have a pastry brush at my house. Oops. I am going to take this, and I am just going to rub my egg white right on the top. And what it's going to do is it adds shine to my biscotti. All right. So before I do my first bake, I'm just adding a little bit of shine to this, and it's so amazing how beautiful it's going to look. All right, just like so. I'm just going to brush it all on, and then now I'm going to bake this in an oven, preheated at 325 degrees for 20 minutes. All right, I'll show you what that looks like. We'll do the shaping, which is cutting it, and then we'll do the second bake. All right, so we'll be back. Hello, and the cookies, the first bake for the biscotti is done. So this is what they look like. All right. So they're still very warm. At this point, I have a second baking sheet ready to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my log. I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to cut it on an angle. And I'm literally taking my chef knife and I am pressing it and rocking back and forth because I do not want to break the cookie. And you really want to do this when these cookies are warm because number one, it's easier to cut. They don't break as easy. All right, just like so. All right, and then what you're going to do is using very carefully, using a spatula, you're going to pick up those cookies and then lay the logs out. Be very careful. All right, so here's my first cookie. I'm going to lay that out. That one obviously is not the perfect shape, but you can see that this one is still very soft. Remember, we do our second bake. I'm going to switch these around so you can see. You're going to do your second bake to get them nice and crispy. So they are the perfect texture for dunking. And we're going to dip them in chocolate, like I said, but they are served with coffee and they are just delicious. All right, just like so. All right, and it doesn't matter how close you shape these at this point because they are not going to spread. All right, so if any pieces break apart at all, just kind of press it back together. All right, at this point, we are going to put them in our oven at 350 degrees, and we're going to bake them for about 7 to 10 more minutes. Okay, I'll show you what they look like when they are done. We'll be right back.